3 weeks later,
The rain
I
hit my
stood at my
kitchen window
son's
like
grave.
bullets.
The
I
rain
was
fell
drying
in
dishes
sheets,
when my phone
soaking
lit
through
up.
my black coat,
Darnell.
running down my face,
My son
and mixing
never
with
called
tears
this
I'd
late
cried so
unless
many
something
times
was
they
wrong.
felt like part of me now.
My hands were
The
still wet
headstone
when
was
I
simple,
answered.
clean.
Baby,
Darnell Marcus
breathing,
Hayes,
heavy,
beloved,
static
son,
crackling through the
husband,
line like something was
pilot,
breaking apart between us.
beloved. The
Mom,
word felt like a lie.
His voice sounded
Not because
distant,
it wasn't true, but
swallowed
because the
by
world would
wind or
never know what he
machinery or
really
something
been.
I couldn't
A
name.
hero, a
My
truth
chest
teller,
went tight.
a man who'd given his life
Darnell,
trying to expose
what's
something
wrong?
so dark,
Where are
so
you?
vast that even
I'm
now
on
I could
approaching to
barely
Charlotte.
comprehend it.
His words came
The news
fast,
had called it an
panicked.
accident.
Mom,
Tragic
I just
mid-flight
saw
medical emergency.
silent stretch.
Delta released a
Not
statement
the
expressing
kind that
their
means someone's
condolences.
thinking.
Simone,
the kind that means they've
or whoever
seen
was
something
wearing
they
her
can't
face
unsee.
now, had given a tearful interview
So
playing the
what?
grieving
My
widow
voice
so
cracked.
convincingly
Baby,
I almost
talk to
believed
me.
it myself. Almost.
It can't be her.
They still
He
lying
whispered
about
so
you, baby.
low I almost
whispered,
didn't hear it.
kneeling in the mud.
She's supposed to
not
be
for long.
home.
I'd spent the
Before I
last
take
3
you
weeks
through what
compiling
happened
everything.
to me, I
Every
need to
document,
know.
every
Drop
photo,
a
every
comment
recording.
and tell me where in
Floyd
this
had helped me
beautiful world
encrypt it
you're
all,
watching from
upload
right
it
now.
to a server that
because
couldn't be
I
traced
have a
back to
feeling
me.
some of you know
Tomorrow,
exactly what it's
the
like
world
when
would
the
see it.
people who are
Every
supposed to love
major
you
news
most
outlet,
make you
every
question
pilot's
your own
family,
worth.
Every
If that
person
reality
who
hits close
deserved
to
to know
home,
the truth
hit
about
that
SkyServe
like button
Holdings
so I
and
know
what they
you're
were
here with
doing
me.
in those hangars.
And if you want more stories
try to
like
bury
this,
it.
the
I knew
kind
that.
cut deep
They'd
but
call
help
it a
us heal,
conspiracy theory.
make sure
Scrub
you
the
subscribe.
files, silence
This
anyone
is
who
where
spoke
we
up.
come together,
But once the
where
truth
we
was
share
out
the
there,
truths
it
that
couldn't
matter.
be fully erased.
This is your
I
safe
placed
space,
a single white
and I
rose
want
on
you
the grave
right here with
and
me
stood,
for every
my
single
knees
story.
aching. As I turned
Who?
to leave,
Simone?
my phone buzzed.
What do you mean she's...
A message.
The line went
Unknown
dead.
number.
No goodbye.
My heart stopped.
No explanation.
I opened it
Just
slowly.
silence and the hollow sound
You
of
did what you
disconnection
had
ringing
to
in my
do.
ear.
I'm proud
I stood
of you.
there frozen.
DS.
Phone pressed so hard against my face it
DS.
hurt. Rain
Darnell's
pounded
initials.
harder. Thunder
This wasn't the
rolled
first
somewhere
message.
far away.
They'd been coming for
My
days
reflection
now.
stared
Short,
back at me from
cryptic,
the dark window.
always
and for the
signed the
first
same
time
way.
in years,
At first, I thought it was
looked
someone
afraid.
mocking me,
I
taunting
called
me.
him back.
But the
straight
messages
to
knew
voicemail.
things. Details
Called
only
again.
Darnell would know.
Nothing.
His nickname
My
for
fingers
me, the
fumbled
song
as I
used
dialed
to sing
Simone.
him to sleep.
It
Things
rang
no one
7
else could
times
possibly
before
remember.
going to voicemail
I
too.
typed back with shaking
Her
hands.
voice, sweet and
are you?
rehearsed.
The
Hi,
response came
you've
immediately.
reached Simone. Leave a
You
message.
already know. Be
Simone,
careful, Mom.
it's Imani.
They're watching.
Call me as soon as you get
I
this.
stared at the screen.
It's about Darnell.
Rain dripping on the
I
glass.
paced the kitchen,
My chest
my bare
tightened.
feet slapping
It
against
was
the cold
impossible.
tile.
But so was
Something was
everything
wrong.
else.
Mothers know.
I drove home in
we
silence.
feel it in our
My
bones
mind
before our
spinning.
minds catch
The
up.
streets were empty.
I
the
called
sky
Charlotte
dark.
Douglas Airport.
And when I pulled
the
into
woman
my
on the
driveway,
line sounded
I
bored.
noticed it immediately.
Ma'am, I
black
can't give out
SUV
flight information
parked
for
across the
security
street.
reasons.
Tinted windows.
My son
Government
is a
plates.
pilot. He
They'd
just called
found
me
me.
sounding terrified and the
I sat in
line
my
cut
car
off.
for a long
I need to
moment,
know if his
gripping
plane
the
landed
steering wheel.
safely.
Part of me wanted
A
to run,
pause, typing.
disappear, change
Flight
my name
number?
and never look back. But I was
don't
done
know.
running.
His name is
I
Darnell
got out of the car
Hayes. He
and
flies
walked
for
toward my
Delta.
front door,
More
feeling their eyes
typing.
on me the entire time.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I didn't look back,
don't see
didn't
any
give them the
incidents reported
satisfaction.
tonight. If there's
Inside,
an emergency,
I locked
someone
the
from
door
the
and
airline
moved
will
through the
contact
house
you.
slowly.
If
Everything
there's an
looked the same,
emergency.
but it didn't feel
The words
same.
set in my
felt
stomach
like a
like
tomb,
stones.
a place
I tried
haunted
the
by
hospital,
everything I'd
then
lost.
another hospital,
I
then
walked to the
every
window
number
and
I
pulled
could
back the
think
curtain
of
slightly.
until my phone battery
The
dropped to
SUV was still
15%
there,
and my voice
waiting.
went hoarse.
Let them wait.
Nothing. No
I
one
moved
knew
to the
anything,
small table by the
or no
window
one was
and
telling
picked up
me.
a single white
I sat
candle.
down at the kitchen
The same
table as
one
the
I used to
storm
light
raged
every
outside.
Sunday for family dinner.
My hands wouldn't
the same
stop
one
shaking.
Darnell would blow out
I
and
kept
make a
replaying
wish.
his voice in my
I struck a
head,
match
that
and lit
terrified
it,
whisper
the
cutting
flame
through the
flickering
static.
in the darkness.
It can't be
They
her.
took my son.
She's supposed to be
I
home.
whispered into the empty room.
Who did
but
he
they
see?
won't take his
Why
truth.
did it scare him so
The flame
badly?
danced.
And why did the
The rain
line go
pounded
dead the
against the
second he
glass.
said it?
And then I heard
I
it,
stared at my phone,
faint,
willing it to ring,
almost
willing him to
imperceptible.
call back and laugh and say it was
Static.
all a
That
misunderstanding.
same horrible
But the
static
screen
from the
stayed
phone
dark.
call, from the
rain
recording,
kept
from every
falling,
nightmare I'd
and
had since
somewhere
this
deep
began.
in my chest,
It
a
hummed
mother's
softly through the
instinct
air,
screamed that
rising from
everything
somewhere
had
deep
just
in the
changed.
house, or
I
maybe from
leaned
somewhere
forward,
inside me.
elbows on the table,
I closed my
and whispered
eyes
into the
and
empty
let it
room.
wash over me, because
What
I
did
wasn't
you
afraid
see,
anymore.
baby?
They could watch.
I
They could
didn't
wait.
sleep.
They could
Couldn't.
even come for
By
me.
5 in the morning, I
But
was
the
in my
truth
car,
was already
driving
out
through the
there.
dying storm toward
And
Charlotte.
truth, once
2
spoken,
hours.
can never
That's
be
how long I
silenced.
had to sit with the
I
worst
opened
thoughts
my
a mother
eyes
can have.
and looked at the candle.
The house looked normal
The
from the
flame
outside.
burned steady now,
Red brick,
casting
white
long
shutters,
shadows
the porch light
across the
still on, like
walls.
Simone had left it for someone
Outside,
who never came home.
the SUV's
But the
engine
front door
started.
was open.
Inside,
Not wide,
the
just
static
enough to let
grew
the morning
louder.
chill seep inside.
And somewhere in
My
the space
heart
between
stopped.
what was real
Donnell,
and what was
I
impossible,
called out, pushing the
I
door
felt
wider.
my son's
Simone!
presence.
Nothing.
Not gone.
I stepped inside.
waiting.
The living room
Like
looked
me.
lived in, but
For the
abandoned.
reckoning
The
that
TV
was
was still
coming.
on, playing some morning talk show on mute. A coffee mug sat on the side table, steam long gone, but the lick was still warm when I touched the ceramic. Someone had been here recently. The suitcase by the stairs made my throat tighten. Half packed, clothes folded neatly on one side, the other side empty, like someone had been interrupted mid-thought. Simone always packed the night before a trip. Always. This wasn't her. I moved through the house slowly, my footsteps too loud against the hardwood. Every room felt like a held breath. The kitchen was clean, the bedroom untouched except for the unmade bed, sheets tangled like someone had left in a hurry. Then I saw it. The photo on the hallway wall, the one from their wedding day, Darnell in his tux and Simone gluing in white. The glass was cracked, a single fracture running diagonal across her face, splitting her smile in two. My hands went cold. I turned toward the corner of the ceiling where the security camera was blinking, except it wasn't blinking green like it should. It was red, offline. I pulled out my phone and opened the app Darnell had set up for me months ago so I could check on the house when they traveled. The screen loaded, then flashed a message in bold letters, "Connection lost." I tried refreshing. Nothing. The camera had been shut off. Not accidentally. Someone had disabled it. My pulse hammered in my ears. I looked around the house again, this time seeing it differently. The warm coffee, the half-packed suitcase, the cracked photo, the offline camera. This wasn't just an empty house. This was a crime scene. I backed toward the door, my breath coming faster. Whoever had been here might still be close, watching, waiting. As I reached for the doorknob, my phone buzzed in my hand. A text. Unknown number. Stop looking. I froze. My eyes shot to the camera in the corner, its red light now dark, completely off. But someone was still watching.
They came to my house the next morning. 2 of them, a man and a woman, both in crisp Delta uniforms with badges clipped to their chests. They stood on my porch like they'd rather be anywhere else, faces smooth and professional, in that rehearsed way that makes your stomach drop. I opened the door before they could knock. "Mrs. Hayes," the woman said. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm Claudia Brennan, and this is my colleague, Leonard Fritz. We're from Delta's Employee Relations Department. May we come in?" I didn't move. "Where's my son?" The man shifted his weight. That's what we'd like to discuss with you, inside if possible. I let 'em in because I needed answers. They sat on my couch like they owned it, briefcases on their laps, hands folded. Claudia spoke first. Mrs. Hayes, we want to assure you that Flight 1162 landed safely yesterday evening. All passengers and crew were accounted for. Relief should have flooded through me. It didn't. Then where's Darnell? Leonard cleared his throat. Captain Hayes was scheduled to pilot that flight. However, when the plane landed, he was not on board. The room tilted. What do you mean he wasn't on board? He called me from the plane. He was flying it. We understand this is distressing, Claudia said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. But according to our records, Captain Hayes did not complete the flight. His uniform was found in a staff locker at the airport. I stared at her. His uniform? Yes, ma'am. So you're telling me my son took off his uniform mid-flight and just disappeared? They exchanged a glance, quick, practiced. We're still investigating, Leonard said, but we wanted to inform you personally that Delta is handling all communications regarding this matter. We ask that you refrain from speaking to the media or refrain. My voice rose. My son is missing and you want me to stay quiet? We understand your frustration, Claudia cut in smoothly, but premature speculation could complicate the investigation. We have protocols for situations like this. Situations like this. I stood up, my hand shaking. How many pilots go missing mid-flight? Silence. Leonard stood up too, closing his briefcase with a soft click. Mrs. Hayes, we'll be in touch as soon as we have more information. In the meantime, if you remember anything unusual, any calls, messages, or behavior from your son in recent weeks, please contact us immediately. He handed me a card, plain white, just a phone number. No name, no logo. They left as quickly as they came, their footsteps too quiet on my porch. I stood at the window and watched their black sedan pull away. They didn't look back. I looked down at the card in my hand, turning it over. The back was blank, except for 8 words printed in tiny letters at the bottom. Some questions are safer left unasked. My blood went cold. They weren't here to help me find Darnell. They were here to make sure I stopped looking. I didn't stop. The next day, I drove back to Charlotte Douglas Airport. If Delta wouldn't tell me what happened to my son, I'd find out myself. I knew someone who could help. Terrence worked airport security for 20 years before retiring. We went to the same church. When I called him, his voice went quiet. Imani, you sure you want to see this? I need to see it. He met me in a back hallway near the employee break room. His face looked older than I remembered, worn down by something heavy. I pulled footage from gate C12, he said, handing me a tablet. Your son's last known location before they say he disappeared. I took the tablet with trembling hands. The video was black and white, time stamped 9:47 p.m. The angle showed a stretch of hallway near the restricted crew area. Then I saw him. Darnell, still in uniform, walking fast, not panicked, purposeful. His head turned like he was following someone. The camera angle shifted. A woman in a red coat moved ahead of him,
her back to the lens. Long dark hair, slim build. She walked with confidence, heels clicking against the tile floor. Darnell called out. I couldn't hear it, but I saw his mouth move. The woman kept walking. He broke into a run. My heart pounded as I watched my son chase this stranger through the airport. She turned a corner. He followed her. They both disappeared behind a door marked Restricted Access, Authorized Personnel Only. Wait, I whispered. Go back. Terrence rewound the footage. I leaned closer, squinting at the screen. Just before the woman disappeared, she turned her head, just slightly, just enough for the camera to catch her profile. The tablet nearly slipped from my hands. It was Simone. No, my voice came out strangled. That's not possible. Terrence said nothing. Simone called me that night, I insisted, my words tumbling out fast. She was at home. She told me she hadn't left the house all day. What time did she call? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my call log with shaking fingers. 9:53. 6 minutes after this video? Terrence's jaw tightened. Imani, that door leads to a restricted maintenance area. No public access. No cameras past that point. So where'd they go? I don't know. But no one came back out. Not that night. Not on any footage I could find. I stared at the frozen image on the screen. Simone's face, half turned toward the camera, her expression unreadable. Cold, almost. My mind spun. How could she be in two places at once? How could she walk through that airport while calling me from home minutes later? Unless she wasn't home. Unless she lied. Or unless my stomach turned. Unless that wasn't Simone at all.
I showed up at Simone's door unannounced. She answered in a bathrobe, hair damp, eyes red, like she'd been crying for days. When she saw me, her face crumpled. Imani, her voice broke. Have you heard anything? The police won't tell me anything. Delta won't return my calls. I don't know where he is. She looked devastated, genuine, raw. But I had seen the footage. Can I come in? She stepped aside without a word. The house smelled like lavender and something burnt, like she tried to cook and forgot. Dishes piled in the sink, mail scattered across the counter. This was the home of someone falling apart. We sat in the living room. She pulled a blanket over her lap, her fingers twisting the fabric. Simone, I said carefully, where were you 2 nights ago, the night Darnell called me? Her eyes widened. I was here. I told you that already. I was home all night. Are you sure? Yes, her voice hardened. Why are you asking me this? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot Terrence had sent me. The woman in the red coat, the profile, the timestamp. Simone stared at the image, her face going pale. That's not me. It looks exactly like you. It's not. Her hands started shaking. I swear to God, Imani, I was here. I didn't leave this house. Then how do you explain this? She stood up abruptly, disappearing into the bedroom. I heard drawers opening, things being moved. She came back holding her phone, fingers flying across the screen. Look, she shoved it toward me. My security app. It tracks when I'm home.
I looked at the screen, time-stamped entries. 9:47 p.m. home mode activated. 9:53 outgoing call to Imani Hayes. Everything matched her story, but it didn't match the video. Simone, my throat went dry. If you weren't at the airport, then who was that? She didn't answer. Her gaze drifted past me, landing on something across the room. I followed her eyes. A red coat draped over the back of a chair by the window. The exact same coat from the footage. My pulse roared in my ears. Is that yours? She swallowed hard. I don't know. You don't know if you own a coat? I found it in my closet yesterday. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I've never seen it before. The air between us felt too thick to breathe. Simone, what's going on? Her eyes filled with tears. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again like the words were fighting to stay inside. They told me not to talk. I shot down my spine. Who told you? I don't know who they were. 2 days ago, someone came to the door. They said if I wanted to stay safe, I needed to stop asking questions about Darnell's flight. They said things could get worse. Worse? Simone, my son is missing. I know. She stood, pacing now, arms wrapped around herself. They showed me pictures, Imani, pictures of me, at places I've never been, doing things I don't remember. Her voice cracked and she turned to face me, tears streaming down her cheeks. What if I was there? What if I don't remember? I stared at her, my mind reeling. Either she was lying or something far more terrifying was happening.
I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that red coat. 2 days after confronting Simone, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Mrs. Hayes? The voice was rough, cautious. This is Floyd Cunningham. I used to work air traffic control with your son. My heart jumped. Do you know where Darnell is? He said no, but I know something's wrong. He paused. Meet me at Piedmont Park in an hour. Come alone. He hung up before I could ask questions. I found him on a bench near the lake, a worn baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. He looked over his shoulder twice before I even sat down. I shouldn't be doing this, he muttered, pulling a manila folder from inside his jacket. But Darnell was a good man, and what they doing is not right. He handed me the folder. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a printed flight manifest for Delta Flight 1162, the passenger list, crew assignments, departure and arrival logs. But something was off. Several names were blacked out, not just 1 or 2, 7 passengers, that information completely redacted, just thick black lines where names and seat numbers should have been. Why are these hidden? I asked. Floyd leaned closer, his voice dropping. Because those passengers don't officially exist. No ID checks, no ticket purchases. They were added to the flight manually, bypassing every security protocol we have. My stomach twisted. Who were they? He said, I don't know. But Darnell knew something was wrong. Look at the bottom. I flipped the page. There, scribbled in blue ink in the margin, was Darnell's handwriting. I'd know it anywhere, the way he looped his L's, the sharp slant of his R's. Flight 247? Wrong coordinates? Don't tell Mom. The world tilted. Flight 247? I whispered. That's not this flight. Exactly. Floyd's jaw tightened. Flight 247 was logged 3 weeks ago. Same route, Charlotte to Atlanta, but the coordinates in the system don't match the actual flight path. Someone altered the records after the fact. Why would Darnell write this? Because he figured it out. He started noticing inconsistencies, flights that didn't match their logs, cargo manifests that changed overnight. He came to me a month ago asking me if I had seen anything strange. And had you? He nodded slowly. Pilots disappearing, families getting visits from people in suits, and every time someone asks questions, the records get scrubbed clean. He stood abruptly. I've said too much. Keep that folder hidden. Don't show it to anyone. Wait, Mrs. Hayes. His eyes locked on mine, and I saw real fear there. Your son didn't just disappear. He was trying to expose something, and whoever's behind it will do anything to keep it buried. He walked away before I could respond, disappearing into the crowd like he was never there. I sat alone on that bench, staring at Darnell's note. Don't tell Mom. But he'd left me a trail anyway, and I wasn't going to stop until I found the truth.
I went through everything in Darnell's home office. Every drawer, every file, every scrap of paper he'd ever touched. Simone had given me the key before she left town. Said she couldn't stay in that house anymore. Said the walls felt like they were listening. I knew what she meant. It took me 3 hours to find it. A small lockbox hidden in the back of his closet, tucked behind old flight manuals. No key. I broke it open with a hammer, my hand shaking so badly I nearly missed. Inside was a USB drive and a stack of printed emails. I plugged the drive into his laptop. Files loaded, dozens of them. Incident reports, flight logs, photos of cargo containers with strange serial numbers. And one name kept appearing, SkyServe Holdings. I'd never heard of it. The emails were worse. Darnell had been writing to his supervisor for months, each message more urgent than the last. March 15th, requesting clarification on cargo manifest discrepancies for Flight 481. Containers marked medical supplies but require biohazard clearance. Please advise. April 2nd, third unscheduled cargo pickup this month. No passenger manifest, no customs inspection. Who authorized this? May 20th. I need to speak with someone above you. This isn't protocol. This isn't legal. The responses were all the same. Vague, dismissive. Your concerns have been noted. Continue standard operations. Then, dated 2 weeks before he disappeared, if you continue to raise these issues, we will have no choice but to reassign you. SkyServe Holdings operates under federal clearance. You do not have authorization to question their contracts. My blood ran cold. I opened one of the image files. A photo taken from inside a cargo hold. Metal crates stamped with the SkyServe logo, a stylized bird with wings spread wide. But it wasn't the logo that made my breath catch. It was what was written beneath it in red stencil. Live transport, handled with extreme care. Live transport. Not medical supplies, not equipment. Something alive. I scrolled through more photos. Each one showed the same crates being loaded onto flights. Always at night, always by crews in unmarked uniforms. No Delta logos, no identification. Then I found the list. A document titled SkyServe Personnel Concerns, Confidential. It was a spreadsheet. Names down the left column, dates next to them, status updates in the final column. Captain Roderick Lang, March 12, reassigned, Anchorage. Captain Nadia Ortiz, April 8th, medical leave, indefinite. Captain Troy Whitmore, May 3rd, resigned, no forwarding info. Captain Darnell Hayes, June 14th, under review. 11 names total. 11 pilots who'd asked questions about SkyServe, and every single one of them was gone. I sat back in the chair, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. This wasn't just about Darnell. This was systematic, organized. Whoever SkyServe was, they had enough power to make people disappear, enough reach to silence an entire airline, enough control to operate in plain sight while everyone looked the other way. I clicked on the last file, a voice memo, Darnell's voice. Mom, if you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it. SkyServe isn't just a contractor. They're moving something, someone. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to find out. If anything happens to me, don't trust Delta. Don't trust the authorities. Find Floyd. He'll help you. Static crackled. Then his voice again, barely a whisper. They're not just watching the planes, Mom. They're watching us. The recording ended. I sat in the silence, staring at the screen. Darnell knew. He knew they were coming for him. And he left me everything I needed to finish what he started.
I started calling them one by one, the families from Darnell's list, the ones whose husbands and wives had vanished or been reassigned. Some numbers were disconnected, some went straight to voicemail, but 3 of them answered, and what they told me made my skin crawl. The first was Patrice, widow of Captain Troy Whitmore. Her voice sounded hollow, like something inside her had broken and never healed. He started acting strange 2 months before he disappeared, she said. Little things at first, forgetting conversations we'd had, calling me by the wrong name. Then one night he came home, and I swear to God, Imani, he looked at me like he'd never seen me before. What do you mean? Like he didn't recognize his own wife. Her voice cracked. 3 days later, they told me he resigned. No letter, no goodbye, just gone. Did you report it? She laughed bitterly. To who? Delta said it was voluntary. The police said he was an adult who could leave if he wanted. But I know my husband. He would never abandon our kids. The second call was to Geneva, partner of Nadia Ortiz. Nadia didn't just go on medical leave, Geneva whispered, like someone might be listening. She called me from the hospital, hysterical, saying they were doing tests on her, brain scans, blood work, things she didn't consent to. My heart raced. What kind of tests? She didn't know, but when I went to visit her, they said she'd been discharged, except she never came home. Her breath hitched. 2 weeks later, I saw her at the grocery store. She walked right past me. I called her name, and she looked at me with these blank eyes, like I was a stranger. Did you follow her? I tried, but she got into a black car with tinted windows and drove away. Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. That wasn't my Nadia. I don't know who that was. The third call changed everything. Her name was Lorraine, wife of Captain Roderick Lang. She invited me to her house, said some things couldn't be said over the phone. I drove 3 hours to meet her.
She opened the door with a haunted look in her eyes, motioned me inside without a word. Her living room was covered in papers, photos pinned to a corkboard like a detective's investigation wall. "You think I'm crazy," she said flatly. "No, I think you're trying to find answers." She pulled down a photo. 2 women standing side by side. Same faces, same haircut, same clothes. "This is my sister-in-law," she said, "and this is someone who looks exactly like her, taken the same day, 200 miles apart." I stared at the photo, my mouth dry. "It's not just the pilots," Lorraine continued. "It's the people around them, spouses, family members, people who know too much." She turned to me, tears streaming down her face. "They're not killing them, Imani. They're replacing them." "Replacing them?" My voice came out strangled. "It's impossible." "Is it?" She grabbed another photo, a man in a pilot's uniform. "This is Roderick 3 months before he disappeared. And this," she held up another, "same man, same uniform, same face. This is Roderick 2 weeks ago. I took this picture myself outside a SkyServe facility in Nevada." The room spun. "Cloning," she whispered, "or something close to it. I don't know how, I don't know why, but they're making copies of people, perfect copies." I thought about Simone, the red coat, the airport footage, the woman who looked exactly like her, but wasn't. My voice shook. "What do they do with the originals?" Lorraine's face crumbled. "I don't think they let them live." I couldn't stop thinking about what Lorraine said. That night, I went back to Darnell's laptop. There had to be something I missed, some clue he'd left behind that would tell me where he was, if he was still alive. I clicked through folders, documents, photos. Then I saw it, tucked in a subfolder labeled Voice Memos. One file, dated the night he disappeared. My hand hovered over the mouse. Part of me didn't want to know, but I had to. I pressed play. Static filled the room, thick and crackling, like the sound was fighting its way through interference. Then I heard it. Faint cockpit noise in the background, the hum of engines, a muffled beep. Then breathing, fast, panicked. "Mom?" His voice was barely a whisper, strained like he was trying not to be heard. "If you find this, you need to listen." I pressed the laptop closer, my hand shaking. "They made another her." His words came out broken, terrified. "I saw her board the plane, Simone, but it wasn't Simone. She moved wrong, talked wrong. Her eyes were empty." My throat closed. I followed her, confronted her. She didn't even try to deny it. She just smiled and said, "You should have stayed quiet, Captain Hayes." A sound in the background, a door opening, footsteps. Darnell's breathing quickened. "I don't know what they're doing or why, but they're making copies of people, perfect copies, and they're using our flights to move them." More static, his voice cutting in and out. "Mom, if they come to you, if someone shows up claiming to be me or Simone, don't let them in. Don't trust them. They're not who they say they are." A loud noise, a shout, Darnell's voice rising in panic. "No, wait!" Then the static, that same horrible static from the night he called me, the sound that had haunted my dreams for weeks. It consumed everything, swallowing his voice, swallowing the cockpit noise, until there was nothing left but that endless, suffocating hum. Then silence. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. The audio file had ended, but I could still hear it, that static. It burrowed into my skull, vibrating in my bones. He'd known. He'd known they were coming for him, and he tried to warn me. Tears streamed down my face as I replayed the file, listening to my son's final words, the fear in his voice, the desperation. "Don't let them in, Mom." I looked toward my front door. The lock suddenly felt too thin, the windows too exposed. Because if they could replace Simone, if they could make another her, what was stopping them from making another me? Or worse, what if they already had?
It started with the baby monitor. I didn't even know why I still had it. My grandbaby only visited twice a year, but it sat on the hallway shelf, plugged in, its little green light always blinking. That night, after listening to Darnell's recording, I heard voices coming from it. Static first, then whispers, faint, distorted. I walked toward it slowly, my heart hammering. The closer I got, the clearer it became. She knows. My blood turned to ice. How much? Enough. I grabbed the monitor and ripped it from the wall. The voices stopped, but my phone buzzed in my pocket. A text, unknown number. Unplugging devices won't help. I dropped the phone like it burned me. My smart thermostat beeped. The TV in the living room turned on by itself, glowing blue in the darkness. Voices crackled through the speakers. Imani Hayes, 65 years old, lives alone. I ran to the TV and yanked the plug from the wall. Silence. But then my Alexa spoke from the kitchen. "You should have stopped looking." I stumbled backwards, my breath coming in gasps. Every device in my house had been compromised. Every camera, every microphone, they've been watching me this whole time. I grabbed my keys and my purse, threw on a coat, and ran for the door. I didn't start running until I was 3 blocks away, sitting in my car under a street light, shaking so hard I could barely grip the steering wheel. I couldn't go back. Not tonight. Maybe not ever. I drove to a motel on the edge of town, paid cash, gave a fake name, locked the door, and shoved a chair under the handle. Sleep didn't come. I lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to every creak and footstep in the hallway, wondering if they already knew where I was. At 3 a.m., I finally closed my eyes. When I woke, sunlight streamed through the thin curtains. I sat up, groggy and disoriented. Then I saw it. On the nightstand, a folded piece of paper that hadn't been there when I fell asleep. My hands trembled as I reached for it. The paper felt expensive, smooth, the kind you don't buy at a regular store. I unfolded it slowly. 2 words, typed in clean black font. "You're next." I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. Someone had been in this room while I slept. They'd stood over me, left this note, and I hadn't heard a thing. I grabbed my things and fled the motel, checking over my shoulder every few seconds. My car felt too exposed. The streets felt too empty. I didn't know where to go, didn't know who to trust. All I knew was that Darnell had tried to protect me by staying silent, and I'd broken that silence. Now they were coming for me, and I had nowhere left to hide.
Floyd called me from a burner phone. He said, "I found it. The facility. It's outside Greensboro. Decommissioned air hangar registered under SkyServe." My heart raced. What's inside?
He said, "I don't know, but if you want answers, this is where they are." He paused. "I can get you in tonight, but Imani, if we're caught, I know." We met at midnight in an empty parking lot. Floyd handed me a maintenance uniform and a forged ID badge. He said, "Security changes shifts at 1 a.m. We'll have 12 minutes, maybe less." The hangar loomed against the night sky like a sleeping giant. Razor wire fencing, security cameras sweeping in slow arcs. A single guard stationed at the gate, half asleep in his booth. Floyd pulled up in a maintenance man, flashed his old credentials. The guard waved us through without looking up. We parked near a side entrance. Floyd disabled the camera with a small device he'd brought, something that looped the last 10 seconds of footage. He said, "Stay close," he whispered. The door opened with a soft click. Cold air rushed out, carrying the sharp scent of disinfectant and something else, something chemical and wrong. Inside, fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in sterile white. The corridor stretched ahead, lined with metal doors, each one marked with a number. We moved quickly, our footsteps too loud despite the carpeted floor. Then I saw it. At the end of the hall, a larger door, marked containment, authorized access. Floyd tried his card. The light flashed green. The door opened and my world shattered. The room was massive. Rows and rows of sealed containers stretched into the darkness, each one the size of a coffin, each one glowing faintly from within, and each one had a name printed on the side. Captain Roderick Lang, Captain Nadia Ortiz, Captain Troy Whitmore. My legs nearly gave out. I stumbled forward, reading name after name. Pilots, crew members, people who'd asked too many questions. "Oh, God," Floyd whispered behind me. I moved deeper into the room, my breath fogging in the cold air. Some containers were sealed. Others had tubes running into them, machines beeping softly. Then I saw one that was open. The glass lid had been lifted. Inside, a figure lay motionless on a padded surface, dressed in a white gown. Wires connected to her temples, an IV in her arm. I moved closer, and my stomach dropped. It was Simone. But not the Simone I confronted, not the one with the red coat and the trembling hands. This Simone looked wrong. Her face was too still. Her chest rose and fell, but mechanically, like she was breathing on command. Her eyes were closed, but even unconscious, there was something empty about her. "Is she—" Floyd's voice cracked. "Alive," I whispered, "but I don't think she's awake. I don't think she's ever been awake." A nameplate on the container read, "Simone Hayes, copy 2. Deployment pending." Copy 2, meaning there was a copy 1, the one I met, the one wearing Simone's face, living in her house, sleeping in her bed, and somewhere the real Simone. I turned, scanning the room frantically. My eyes landed on another container near the back, sealed, a red light blinking above it. Simone Hayes, original, decommissioned. The word hit me like a fist. Decommissioned. Not missing, not reassigned, dead. I stumbled backward, bile rising in my throat. They'd killed her, made copies, and sent one out into the world to replace her. "Imani," Floyd grabbed my arm, his voice urgent. "We have to go, now." But I couldn't move, because next to Simone's original container was another one, larger, newer. Darnell Hayes, original, in progress. My son wasn't missing. He was here, and they weren't done with him yet.
Floyd pulled me away before security could find us.
We barely made it out. Alarms screaming, lights flooding the parking lot. We drove for an hour in silence, my mind replaying what I'd seen. The containers, the names, Darnell's face behind that glass. Floyd dropped me at a safe house, a cabin owned by his brother, deep in the woods where no cameras could reach. "There's one more thing," he said before he left, handed me a small black device. The black box recording from Darnell's flight. I pulled it before they could scrub it. You need to hear it. I took it with shaking hands. He drove away, and I was alone. Inside the cabin, I plugged the device into an old laptop Floyd had left behind. The file loaded slowly, the screen flickering. Then it began. Cockpit noise, the steady hum of the engines, muffled voices in the background. Charlotte approach, Delta 1162, descending to 10,000. Darnell's voice, calm, professional, the voice of a man in control. Then another voice, the co-pilot. "Captain, we've got an issue in the rear cabin. One of the passengers." "What kind of issue?" She's not responding. Security's checking it out." A pause. Static crackled. "I'll go back." Darnell's voice concerned now. "Keep us on course." Footsteps. A door opening. Background chatter from the cabin. Then Darnell's voice again, but different. Strained. "Simone, what are you doing here? You said you were staying home." Silence. Then a woman's voice. Cold. Flat. Not Simone's voice. Not really. "Captain Hayes, you should return to the cockpit." "Who are you? You're not my wife. You look like her, but you're not." "Return to the cockpit, Captain." "What the hell is going on? What are you carrying?" A scuffle. Something hitting the floor. Darnell's voice frantic now. "Get away from me. I'm reporting this." The co-pilot's voice cut in, sharp. "Captain, return to your seat, now." "No, I'm calling this in. Ground control needs to—" "You're not calling anyone." A click, a switch being flipped, then dead air where the radio had been. "What did you just do?" Darnell's voice raw with fear. "You disabled the comms? Are you part of this?" "You ask too many questions, Captain Hayes." "I'm taking this plane down. Emergency landing, right now." "No, you're not." A loud beep, alarms blaring in the cockpit. Darnell shouting, "What did you do to the controls?" "Autopilot, override. You are no longer in command of this aircraft. You're gonna kill everyone on this plane." "No, Captain, just you." The sound of a struggle, grunting, something slamming against metal. Then Darnell's voice, breathless, desperate. "If anyone hears this, if my mama hears this, tell her the real Simone never made it home. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I tried." A gunshot. The sound echoed through the cabin. Then silence. Just the hum of engines and the alarm screaming in the background. The co-pilot's voice returned, calm as ever. "Control, this is Delta 1162. Captain Hayes has suffered a medical emergency, declaring emergency and requesting priority landing." The recording ended. I sat frozen, staring at the black screen. Tears streamed down my face, but I couldn't feel them. Couldn't feel anything except the gaping void where my heart used to be. They'd killed him. Mid-flight, in front of passengers who'd never know the truth. They'd shot my son and called it a medical emergency. And the woman he confronted, the thing wearing Simone's face, had been part of it. She'd been the cargo, the thing they were transporting, a duplicate, a weapon. And Darnell had died trying to stop it.
I pressed my hands to my face and sobbed for my son, for Simone, for every person in those containers who'd been erased and replaced. But grief wasn't enough. They'd taken everything from me. Now I was going to take everything from them.
3 weeks later, I stood at my son's grave. The rain fell in sheets, soaking through my black coat, running down my face and mixing with tears I'd cried so many times they felt like part of me now. The headstone was simple, clean. Darnell Marcus Hayes, beloved, son, husband, pilot. Beloved. The word felt like a lie. Not because it wasn't true, but because the world would never know what he'd really been. A hero, a truth teller, a man who'd given his life trying to expose something so dark, so vast, that even now I could barely comprehend it. The news had called it an accident. Tragic mid-flight medical emergency. Delta released a statement expressing their condolences. Simone, or whoever was wearing her face now, had given a tearful interview playing the grieving widow so convincingly I almost believed it myself. Almost. "They still lying about you, baby," I whispered, kneeling in the mud. But not for long. I'd spent the last 3 weeks compiling everything. Every document, every photo, every recording. Floyd had helped me encrypt it all, upload it to a server that couldn't be traced back to me. Tomorrow, the world would see it. Every major news outlet, every pilot's family, every person who deserved to know the truth about SkyServe Holdings and what they were doing in those hangars. They'd try to bury it. I knew that. They'd call it a conspiracy theory, scrub the files, silence anyone who spoke up. But once the truth was out there, it couldn't be fully erased. I placed a single white rose on the grave and stood, my knees aching. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A message. Unknown number. My heart stopped. I opened it slowly. "You did what you had to do. I'm proud of you. D.S. D.S. Darnell's initials. This wasn't the first message. They'd been coming for days now. Short, cryptic, always signed the same way. At first I thought it was someone mocking me, taunting me. But the messages knew things, details only Darnell would know. His nickname for me, the song I used to sing him to sleep, things no one else could possibly remember. I typed back with shaking hands. "Who are you?" The response came immediately. "You already know. Be careful, Mom. They're watching." I stared at the screen, rain dripping on the glass. My chest tightened. It was impossible, but so was everything else. I drove home in silence, my mind spinning. The streets were empty, the sky dark, and when I pulled into my driveway, I noticed it immediately. A black SUV parked across the street, tinted windows, government plates. They'd found me. I sat in my car for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel. Part of me wanted to run, disappear, change my name and never look back. But I was done running. I got out of the car and walked toward my front door, feeling their eyes on me the entire time. I didn't look back, didn't give them the satisfaction. Inside, I locked the door and moved through the house slowly. Everything looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. It felt like a tomb, a place haunted by everything I'd lost. I walked to the window and pulled back the curtain slightly. The SUV was still there, waiting. Let them wait.
I moved to the small table by the window and picked up a single white candle, the same one I used to light every Sunday for family dinners, the same one Darnell would blow out and make a wish. I struck a match and lit it, the flame flickering in the darkness. "They took my son," I whispered into the empty room, "but they won't take his truth." The flame danced. The rain pounded against the glass. And then I heard it. Faint, almost imperceptible. Static. That same horrible static from the phone call, from the recording, from every nightmare I'd had since this began. It hummed softly through the air, rising from somewhere deep in the house, or maybe from somewhere inside me. I closed my eyes and let it wash over me, because I wasn't afraid anymore. They could watch, they could wait, they could even come for me. But the truth was already out there, and truth, once spoken, can never be silenced. I opened my eyes and looked at the candle. The flame burned steady now, casting long shadows across the walls. Outside, the SUV's engine started. Inside, the static grew louder. And somewhere in the space between what was real and what was impossible, I felt my son's presence. Not gone, just waiting, like me, for the reckoning that was coming.
I still light that candle every night. Sometimes I wonder if those messages really came from Darnell, if somehow, in some way I'll never understand, a part of him survived what they did. Or maybe it was just someone who knew him, someone trying to give me hope when I had none left. I'll never know for sure, but here's what I do know. I chose to fight. I chose truth over silence. And even though they're still out there, even though that SUV still circles my block some nights, I don't regret a single choice I made. Because silence protects them, not us. So let me ask you something, and I need you to really think about this. When the people you love demand your silence to protect their secrets, do you owe them loyalty, or do you owe yourself the truth? Are we supposed to stay quiet just because they're family? Or does there come a point when exposing the truth becomes the most loving thing you can do, even if it destroys everything? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know where you stand, because this question is bigger than my story. If this story moved you, if it made you think or feel something real, then you're exactly the kind of person I want in this community. We don't just tell stories here. We face the hard truths together. We hold space for the pain, the rage, and the healing that comes after. So subscribe. Turn on notifications, because every week we're diving into stories that matter. Stories about people who refuse to stay silent, who chose themselves even when the world told them not to. And if you know someone who's struggling right now, someone carrying secrets that aren't theirs to carry, someone who needs to hear that standing up for truth doesn't make them the villain, share this with them. Sometimes the right story reaches someone at exactly the moment they need it most. They took my son, but they didn't take his voice, and they won't take yours either. I'll see you in the next one.